everybody. Sorry, my screen was a little blurry. Hi, guys. Super stoked, as always, for Wednesdays. Checking in. How's everybody doing? Let's make sure we're all up and running. Super incredible female today. Her name is Heather Pink. She is a dear friend of mine. She's a social media consultant, strategist, all things CEO of Pink Deer. Hi, guys. And I think when you enter into this world of social media, you do have to have strategy. So she's very savvy. She's really interesting. I'm stoked to pick her brain and hearing how this woman went from social media expert to social media CEO of her own respective company. There she is, Heather Pink. Hi, my dear. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for coming on. I know you're super slammed, but you know, I've been wanting to pick your brain for a long time because your journey and your career is so immensely fascinating. And one of the things that I want to get into was it wasn't always so easy. It was scary. You took a leap of faith. And I think whether you work in social media, whether you work in broadcast, pursuing your dream and having faith in it to execute is something we all can learn from. So let's just go back because we met at NFL. And so kind of give us a little bit about your journey because you were in charge of social media at NFL Network.
I was a part of the team for sure. And I was one of the few people, me and my now business partner are very lucky that we are some of the few people that got to start working with social media at the NFL. I started as an entry-level position at the NFL, but I had so much experience with Big Ten Network and producing through some of the student broadcasts that I was able to move up quickly and the youngest female line producer that they had at the NFL. And I noticed an opportunity, which was social media with the show that I was producing at the time, NFL Fantasy Live. And, their kind of mentality there was like, as long as you can do your job, sure, you can take this on. Nobody else wants to really do it. And so that sort of taking initiative kind of snowballed for the rest of my career up until now. Some of the things that we were able to do with just that one ask, being able to grow the certain influencers that were around us, that were on our show. Our show for a long time was the most popular show on NFL Network, and it wasn't any surprise by us because our social was like popping. And we were able to turn that around, and, they saw the importance of social because of that. We were able to basically have a department for it. And, I was lucky to be at a place where I was at the time one of 3 people working in social at the NFL, which is super crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you said dream job because at the time before being there, the NFL was my dream job. Like that was it, right? I was like, I'm here, but like for a long time, I thought, even when I was there, I'm like, I'm 25 years old or 26 years old and I have my dream job. Like, what's next? Like, what happens when you get your dream job, or so you think, super young? And that was kind of like a really tough fork in my life where I had to figure out what happens when you are kind of like over your dream job.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and now you kind of created it, which I think you said something really interesting in your answer, which was initiative. You took the initiative, you had the confidence to believe in yourself. Those are all things I kind of want to discuss in this conversation with you, because when I look at somebody sort of taking control of their path and not waiting around, I think of you. You then went from NFL and you were always someone that everyone would talk about and say, you got to meet Heather, you got to meet Pink. I mean, that was your nickname at NFL, was Pink. Like, you got to meet Pink. She's so good at what she does. And you're very thorough. You're super enthusiastic. But I think for people that are watching, and what really can resonate was you did get your dream job at a young age, and then you turned it into an even more empowering job, which was you did something really fucking scary and you created your own company. Where did that come from? And then how did you sort of face your fears with that?
So at the time, I mean, the real backstory to it is I was honestly, when I was working with you, you probably didn't know it. So me and Costco had the chance to get to work even closer together. Oh, sorry, not everybody knows everybody that I call her Costco. Um,
Love it. I love it.
and I mean, you and Marky Stick were some of the best parts about my day because I'd go home and I was so depressed about like the opportunity there and
Mm-hmm.
how
Mm-hmm.
I was being treated by certain people. And I would go and look for jobs, and they said, well, on paper, you look great. On paper, of course, we want someone from the NFL, but maybe you don't have the title here. Or you could do social, but you'd only be in charge of strategy and not creative. And
Mm.
it was like,
Wow.
listen, I know where my strengths were, and I knew that I really could do it all. Um, Basically, to try to get out of sort of part of the depression that I was in from a job perspective, of course, I would go out and hang out with friends, but I would always try to reach out to somebody new or that I hadn't seen in a while.
Mm.
And we'd have networking drinks or dinner, something like that. And almost every third person had said something to me along the lines of like, why don't you just do your own thing? And when
Mm.
a second or third person that doesn't know each other says almost the same thing, it really means that is what I'm destined to do. So other people kind of gave me the idea to do part of this. And also my business partner had mentioned years ago that we should do something like this. Like we should do our own thing. Like we could totally get paid money. I'm like, we're going to Super Bowls. Why would we, you know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but you know, not that a Super Bowl gets old, but the opportunity, the challenge, all those things had definitely wore on me to some extent. And yeah, the leap of faith though, I mean, I was just telling a friend this probably 2 days ago that the moment that I sent my 2 week notice in via email, I wanted to throw up immediately.
Mm.
You know, like
Mm.
quitting the NFL was so difficult. Even when you're miserable,
Yeah.
it's hard. You know, and at the time before I had to convince my parents like, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. They're like, you're going to quit? You're going to quit the NFL? And then when they got on board with what we were trying to do, it made it a lot easier. And even now that things have picked up, it definitely, I mean, hindsight, for some people, we always knew that this was going to happen to us, and to some extent, we just didn't know how or how long or what opportunities. Um, but this is what we'd always hoped for. So
And when you have tenacity and hope, good things can happen, and you were both tenacious and very ambitious. And I mean, we just saw that in terms of you as a producer. You were so creative. You're always like first one in, last one to leave. And we felt protected by you for sure as a producer because what we were putting out was a representation of you, and you see that now in your company. Um, and it's really interesting, like where you're at now. Like we can't even get drinks like we used to because you're just one busy gal, and I love it. I mean, like I totally get it. I'm like, oh, she's so busy working. She's like, I don't know my time today. I might this break. I might have this break, and I'm like, we'll get you on whenever you can do it.
this is the COVID world, and like when I'm sitting here, the reason why I was like, I have somebody on set today, and if he can't go to set because he gets COVID, then I have to go to set. And so I was like, hey, text me when you get your results, and it's, I don't want him, the name of my company, by the way, is Pink Deer. This is my logo. I don't know if you can, it's a hard one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, I got the text at 11:30 p.m. last night that, he's all good. So I'm like, oh, thank God, I can do it. But it's tough. It's tough. Having to put your company first on a lot of things. Like I'd love to go out and have drinks more often. And I have amazing friends like you and all my other friends that are so patient and understand that it's not personal. And yet there is times, like there was a chunk of time this year that I told you this like privately, that I had to put the company first because we had gotten a TV show that was a big deal. It was our first, one of our first big breaks to some extent. And um, it was time to grind. And that
Yeah.
meant no going out, no doing anything. I had to pass every COVID test. So any opportunity I really couldn't take, which does suck. And it does sound like a potentially, maybe not some outside perspective, like toxic or work-life balance, but I knew the work-life balance would come. You just had to put in the work to get there, you know?
Yeah, but I think work-life balance, and we've talked about that, and I think you're at a place now where you can take your foot off the gas. But when you're starting things off and you're dreaming and you're putting a business plan together and you're responsible for people, I mean, you have a business partner, um, I understand the grind. You have to have a grind. I mean, your passion is being put out and you're responsible for a lot of people. I mean, there is a place for that. And so, people that are watching that think, oh, I don't want to be all my career. Well, like, it just depends on where that falls in terms of what your goals are. And, I mean, I love my job. And really why I love my job is for moments like this, where we get to tell inspiring stories of people who turned a challenging part of your life, which you were talking about, you were going home and you were feeling depressed, into this now, where you're I mean, it's like your magic. And those are the stories that I love. Those are the stories I want to tell. And those are the stories we can resonate with, because sometimes life is not always fucking just peace and joy. It's
No,
hard.
not at all. I think that even now when some friends have said to me that that they want to make a change, or they don't know what they want to do next. I didn't know either. I really didn't know.
Mm,
I didn't know that I could create a company of consulting, which is exactly what I wanted to do, and
mm,
actually help a lot of people. And what I told some people, like, for one, go out and talk to people. Like, reach out to people you haven't seen in a while. Reach out to people that maybe you went to high school with or college with, that you see on LinkedIn works at an interesting company, and come from an honest place of just having an informational type of, visit or conversation. And also, like, I'm a big proponent of, not burning any bridges, and just
mm.
going out and just connecting with people, because you never really know who can help you, or you never know what you're going to learn. And I wouldn't be here without all the, like, different connections, different drinks or dinners or meetings that I'd had that got me to creating the company. So, and even
Yeah.
still, like, you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, you have to trust. And look at where you're at today. Let's touch on it with respect to what you can and what you can't, because I know some stuff is private within the relationships with your clients and all of that. But one of the things I found to be really fascinating about how you strategized your company was this amazing opportunity came up with a very big network, a very big show. And instead of you, like, one of the things I thought was so cool was, instead of you saying, hey, I can do that job, you said, my company can do that job. And then that opened the door for you to be the CEO of this position and still take other amazing, incredible opportunities. You didn't limit yourself as, oh, this is a huge show with a huge opportunity, I'm going to leave this company. And, like, do you know what I mean? Like, that was really brilliant.
Listen, when there were positions even at the NFL that had opened up, I had gotten a call. Will you take the VP position here or this position here? And I'm like, no. But yeah, the thing is I have to give my client, who, Akbar, people know that he's a client of ours, Akbar Bajbiamila. When that opportunity came, we're very blessed to be working with CBS's The Talk that he is on. And when the opportunity came to get to work with them, and because we had an agreement with them that I would just come along to set and just help them capture some content once every other week, but that would require me to, like, get tested. And, like, what people don't know is, like, yeah, sure, I went every other X day or whenever every other Monday, and I got to meet all the people, but, like, I couldn't travel the weekend before because I had to get tested on Saturdays, and then I would have to,
Mm.
clear my client schedule. And we just we put our head down, did my work with Akbar, and we never thought anything of it. And that work that we had done just for our one client, that was the reason why we ended up being able to work with the show, because they had seen, oh, this is what they could do. Like, and that's what I told you, like, they called me and I'm like, they called Akbar and like, well, we want Heather to do this. And he's like, Heather isn't a person, she's a company. So you can talk to her about the company coming in. And I was just recently talking with one of the executives there too, and she had sort of reiterated that like it was so hard for us to come in as a company, because sometimes these big corporations like CBS, Paramount, is hard to like have third parties come in if they're not used to it. So we're one of the only sort of third party agencies that does work on some of these projects, and it was very hard. They had to convince them really hard. And she just told me this yesterday about like, now they were like, oh my gosh, what would they do? Like, what would we do without them? And everyone's sitting there like, you guys made it so hard for us to get them. And now you're like, okay, like, okay.
Yeah. That's the coolest part. That's the coolest part was you took a gamble on yourself and you leveraged what you can do as a company. And then, right, like you're saying, the higher ups are like, what would we have been without her? So, what do you do? Like, why does the companies that you work for go, we couldn't live without you? Like, what makes you different? What makes your company different?
I think so, you know this because you've worked in content, but some people, the relationship between TV and social is hand in hand, but it's also not always transferable, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not always exactly what it could be. Like, there could be this great moment that happened from a show, and if you don't package it the right way on social, it probably is going to die. So for us, we've come from a content background. I come from the background of being on air. I wanted to be on air, and I realized that I was a better producer than I was on air. I mean, even still, I do some stuff. Like my sister and I have our own podcast, and I forced her to be on camera. I come from an on-air working with talent background. I mean, I've been so lucky to get to work with like you and a lot of the other amazing females and males at the NFL that truly help me understand how to work with talent, but how to work with executives. So the fact that we produced TV for a while literally makes us like, we understand the TV world, we understand how it can translate, we understand how to talk to people, and that's sometimes the hardest thing is how do you talk to some of these executives and get them to understand on a high level what they should and shouldn't be doing. I'm like, why are we not on TikTok? We all helped launch their TikTok, and there's these certain things that because they're in, sometimes everybody in their own life is sometimes has blinders sometimes, right? I'm doing my normal Monday through Friday stuff and this and that. And part of our job as consultants is to make sure that our clients are truly in the best position to win, always. And that's kind of how we always phrase it. There's someone on my team always on the pulse of some like social, like, hey, we should be hopping on this trend, or like, hey, maybe this one isn't good to post. Maybe we should just keep this one living in the show and like let it die in the show. And so sometimes it just takes either a team or it takes somebody that has the experience to understand how content is made and how we can change it.
And I think it's so powerful because what you just said, in many respects, you're like the filter, past social media thoughts, antiquated thoughts are, it's for the youth, it's for the young. But you've seen it get a lot of people in trouble if you're just frivolously posting social media stuff. And so social media is here to stay, obviously, and in many respects it's getting more viewership than even obviously like the linear elements of it, the linear TV pieces that we see, that I feel like unfortunately just more people are living on their tablets, their phones, and that sort of thing. But the fact that you offer that piece that, used to be handed off to a very young person, I think that is naive, like
Super.
if you, right. It's at the end of the day, social media is here to stay. And if you're not handling it right, or you post something and it's like, that obviously can go viral and it can change the game for a lot of people. So it's funny because I think maybe people watching are like, oh, social media consultant, maybe it's somebody very young, which you are young in a way, but like there is strategy and sophistication, and a lot is on the line when it comes to the social media channels of these big networks that you run.
I mean, one, you know me, I'm an old soul.
Yes, you are.
I may look young, and I'm definitely old at heart, but listen, I personally don't love social. Am I on it all the time? Yes. But the thing is, as from a business perspective, it's necessary, you know? And yes, some of the best, like anybody that you talk to is from an expert marketing perspective. Word of mouth is going to be the quickest, most effective form of marketing. But the thing is how often, like Erin, how often are you telling your friends about other brands that you're not repping? Like, I love this, you should try this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, it might happen maybe once a week, or like, hey, you got to watch this one show. It's awesome. It's word of mouth. But the thing is that only happens in someone's life maybe 1 or 2 times per week max. And that's if somebody has the capability to be intaking certain elements. And even still, they can still be doing it through social media. The fact of the matter is, it is a necessary evil of business. It is a way for people to connect. And in this, at one point, divided world, coming more and more out of it, I don't really know. It still helps to unify us at times too, because we all know that, well, most of us are probably on Instagram, and some of us are on TikTok, not really sure.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes it's hard. I think the hardest part about my job is explaining to somebody the value of it that has absolutely no idea.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
you know, when I introduce to somebody and they truly don't have any idea, there are times truly I've said in business, like, listen, you got to know where you're going to be spending your money. And if I don't convince people about social media, I'm at that point of our career that, like, if you come to me, you know you need to make a difference. I don't need to convince anybody how important it is.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the future. With respect to time, I'm going to let you go, but a couple of quick things, because I can't let you go unless I get these two things. Future of social media, real quick, and how do you recommend for people watching, because you are the expert, how do you expand your social media? If you can give like those two quick answers, I would love you forever.
I don't even know where the time went. I was like, wait, what time is it? Oh my gosh,
Already
it's already
20
done.
minutes. Hell yeah.
Okay, the
Story of
second
our life
one,
in broadcast, right?
where's the time? It's like every show. Wait, hold on, we're over, we're wrapping, what's going on? Remember that one time? I'll never forget it.
Go for it.
I can't even say it because it's so funny. Okay,
What did I say? I like.
should we tell people what our pre-show routine was? Do 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 do.
Do 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 do.
Da-da-da-da.
Yeah, this is so funny. We had so many funny memories on that show.
I know, we had so many funny memories.
Remember when we tried to sign off? We tried to sign off, and like we just got so lost. And like Marcus took us like, "We'll tell you tomorrow."
Yeah, because they had gotten in your ear about something. It's like it's one of the funniest moments I've ever had working in TV. So Erin Coscarelli and Mark Istuk and the other producer, I'm in the control, the other producer is like, there's breaking news happening. And there's like 30 seconds, or like 30 seconds or less to when we were contractually trying, like, had to get off of Twitter, and, you know, going down and like, oh my gosh, there's this thing that's happening. And both of them go silent because he's talking to both of them at the same time. And by the time he was done explaining it, it was done. So there was just awkward silence. And then it was like, we'll tell you tomorrow. So funny.
Like, the worst thing you should ever do in broadcast is tell the audience, tune in tomorrow, because then we'll. Anyways. Dylan, that was hilarious.
Okay, how to expand your brand. You know, I think in this day and age, well, one, social media is here to stay. Everyone always asks me my future prediction. I do think that more and more people are going to get on TikTok. I think that there's going to be more of a divide in demographic. You know, there's going to be you'll be able to pinpoint niches of, hey, I am a sports fan and I have cable. Well, you're definitely probably on Twitter. Versus I am 20, you know, I'm 32 years old and I like to consume video as a form of hobby. So I'm probably actually going to be on TikTok because Instagram doesn't have certain things there. Or for example, TikTok, if you guys don't know, there's a search engine optimization that TikTok is really putting a lot of money in. So if you were to say how to bake a banana bread, you could actually look that up on TikTok and find viable pieces of content. And that's going to be Instagram's next challenge, is how to do that as soon as possible. Because the search engine, the how to, the relatability, that's gonna start to maneuver. But the big thing with starting expanding your brand, I always ask my clients, like, what it is about you that makes you different, and also what is it that you want to be known for. And sometimes that is not a question you can answer overnight. Sometimes it's a question that may take you 2 or 3 months, and it's really difficult to answer. And those are the two things. When you can figure out what it is that you want to be known for, what you want to do, that's how you can help expand your brand, because then you focus on those things. Like, for example, I love Disney, and I do have a side Disney podcast that I'm going to shamelessly plug, Unpopular Disney Opinions. You get to hear me and my sister rant about Disney, and it's a huge part of my life. Like, Disney, I've loved it. It's been a huge part of my life. Is it everything? No. But if you follow our TikTok, you'll have a lot of content for it. It's very specific, it's very niche, and we know exactly what it is. So figure out what it is that is specific enough. Because unfortunately, in this world, in this day and age, it's not enough to just be a dad. It's what kind of dad are you? Are you the single dad? Are you with your kids all the time? Do you guys play games? Are you, like, what do you feed your kids? Like, there's certain things that you really have to hone in on. And yeah, that's my advice. Was that good enough, Kelsey?
No, it was very thorough. And I think at the end of the day, people just are attracted to authenticity. And so if you're the dad that, like you said, has the story to tell, or for me, right, I've been really authentic about my struggles with mental health and being a woman and promoting other women, you see people sort of gravitate towards that, because you're not there just shamelessly promoting yourself. You're adding value in some way, whether it's entertainment, right? Akbar has a great Instagram. He's very entertaining. He's super thorough with his kids. And he makes for a good follow. Like, I'm now really picky about the people I follow on my Instagram. Like, they either have to educate me, enlighten me, be on some sort of alignment with what I'm going through. The Instagram models that I would follow, that would, like, I would not feel super fulfilled after I would, like, I'm like, I don't follow them anymore. Like, that doesn't add value to me. So check out Heather Pink. Her Instagram is amazing. Pink Deer, her company is amazing. She has had one incredible journey from the dream job at NFL to creating her own brand, her own entrepreneurial feat. And it's been really fun to watch you excel and be honest with your life. Like, you've always been super generous, and you've always educated other women. You came to my first Savvy Hour to talk about social media branding. And it's just been really fun to watch you succeed in so many different ways.
Costco, you're too good to me. You're too good to me.
I love you.
Love you, Chica.
What's the name of the podcast?
Unpopular Disney Opinions. So you can find it. We're in our 3rd season right now. And if you're into Disney, and you don't even have to be like, if you're like, hey, I don't really go to the parks, cool. Our podcast is still for you, because you can't listen to it with your kids. It's definitely explicit. So it's a lot of fun.
Cool.
But yeah, I would say, Costco, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. I know I'm difficult timing wise, and I appreciate you sticking with me.
Always. I'm always here for you, sis, and you are there for me. You've been an incredible friend in my life, and just grateful to have you in my life. I love you. Mwah. See you soon. Okay, drinks.
Bye.
When you can.